feel like this is going to be an impossible task. We are tier ranking Blue Banisters, and there's so many songs that mean so much to me. I literally want to put them all in God tier, but that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. That's not the point. I want to be able to separate it. I'm gonna be honest, I actually love, it sounds like I'm such a pick-me. I'm such a Lana pick-me. Like, I I am, and I can't help it because every song is so good, and that just sounds so annoying. I know, it's like, this girl doesn't have an opinion. What is wrong with her? But I can't, like, I love these songs. I love this album. And I've loved it even more since the reaction, just listening to it. And so it seems like a crime to me to put anything other than the God tier. I hate it. I promise. I do have opinions. I do. Yes, Val loves this album, and that's okay. That's good. I'm allowed to love it. But also, let's get some separation. Let's see, like deep down, where do I put this? Deep down, where do I put this? Hi, welcome to Passion Dump of an Autist. My name is Val. Welcome back if you're coming back. Welcome if you're new. Make sure, if you like music commentary, music reactions, if you love Lana Del Rey, if you love Lady Gaga, just music in general, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment below what your top 3, I would love to hear, for Blue Banisters. Also, I have a Patreon that you can join. I always put up my reactions way ahead of YouTube. It takes me forever to edit on YouTube. So if you're like excited, you're on the edge of your seat, keep in mind, we've got Ocean Boulevard coming up. We're doing a very special drop on Patreon. So if you want to join in on the fun and chat with us all, make sure to visit the link in my description. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So let's just quickly go through the tiers that we do. Usually, like, sometimes I'll put like little fun names. I'm gonna be honest, today I've been having a weird day today. Nothing was working. Technology was like, I spent 3 hours before this freaking recording figuring out shit that had like blown up on my computer. That's dramatic, but like, I'm very frustrated and confused and happy that I was able to finally get here and get everything working. But oh my god, I don't have time to do the cute little names that I like to do sometimes. So we're a basic bitch today. And so we've got God tier, so that is like best Lana Del Rey song ever. Except I end up usually putting half the fucking album in there, but that's okay. That is my truth. That is God tier. That is like a perfect song, perfect lyrics, sonically perfect. Amazing is kind of like still almost a perfect song, but maybe I personally, because this is all me and my personal opinions. This is not me trying to be a music critic or something. I'm not being objective like at all. This is literally my personal feelings. And somehow people give a shit about it, and I love you all, but that's what we're doing. So Amazing is like, I can see that it's probably in other people's God tier, but it's just like not as personally resonant to me. Good is good. Like, it's a good song. It's just not on my God tier. It's not perfect. It's just a really good song because typically she just does write really good songs. It's just not my favorite, I guess. Okay is just okay. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if anything's going in there. Again, I'm sorry. I'm a Pick Me Lana fan, and I can't help it. I just can't. Like, at least I'm self-aware, though, you know? And then Skip, again, is just, there's no skips. Spoiler alert, there's no skips. So this is more just like watching a girl that loves Lana Del Rey and is like right in the midst of discovering things, and like watching me have all the passion in the world for each song. I wrote freaking notes, like a ton of notes that we're just gonna read through really quickly. Sometimes I do this on live, but I just wasn't having the week to do it on live, so that's what we're doing. Let's freaking go.
I guess you could call it textbook.
So textbook, if you saw my reaction, you should go back in that reaction. It was very uncomfortable. Textbook frustrated the absolute hell out of me on the first reaction, but that's okay. It is not God tier. Where's textbook? I love it. I love it 1,000 times more than on that first reaction, but it's still not God tier. And I'm gonna leave some room because, like I said, I do want to. I want to, like, let's spread it out. Let's try, Val. Let's try not to put them all in God tier. You know what I mean? So we're gonna put it in good. We're gonna start in good. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're gonna put it in good. Don't hate me, but that's what we're doing. So this is what I said. I said, I love how it starts. Dark and mysterious. Still stand by that. The line, I guess you could call it textbook. I was looking for the father I wanted back. It seems like she's attempting to make sense of a relationship that in hindsight doesn't seem to make sense. I said, this song is confusing, but I think this relationship was confusing and like trying to figure out what the hell was going on, where things went wrong. It just kind of feels like that. I actually wrote this as I listen to it now. So in retrospect, I've already listened to it a bunch of times. It almost feels like a post-mortem report. Like it literally just feels like this mystery that she's trying to like figure out why. Because it's like, you're like my father, you do this thing, but then you also looked at me like this, and then it just feels like a post-mortem to me, which is really cool. Kind of like, you did this, you had this, it reminded me of this, it made me feel like this, etc. That's kind of what the song seems to be doing for me now. I love the line also, let's rewrite history. I'll do this dance with you. Beautiful. Anytime she wants to talk about dancing, like it just means let's have this like simple, beautiful piece of heaven. To me, that's what that means. I just want to dance with you. I'll probably say that 15 more times in this because she talks about dancing, and I think I understand what she means by that. And I said, you may be like my dad, but oh yes, oh my god, yeah. So this line I've been going back and forth with, and the line is, maybe just the way we're different could set me free. I think it could be interpreted a few different ways, but I get the sense that at least in this first verse, it almost feels like we're talking about, I said, I believe this may be talking about her mother again as a double meaning, because I also think it is talking about this relationship as well. But I don't know, it kind of feels like, you may be like my dad, but I'm not like my mother, so this could actually work. I just want to dance with you. That whole idea. I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about that. I get that sense sometimes that line, especially in that first verse when we're talking about the mom and the dad, it just feels like that to me. Yeah, and I said part of like slaying this demon, so the demon is part of her path to freedom, the demon being her mother, and that shadow part of herself that is the way she is because of this demon, her mother, and the way her mother treated her. And then, oh my god, and I saw you saw who I am. And I said, this line confused me because from my perspective, that would personally just make me fall in love with her even more. Like seeing her out in the Black Lives Matter protests and being passionate and showing that fire and scream, like, that personally, if I were her partner, I would fall more in love with her. So that line confused me. I was like, what do you mean? But I don't think it's a good thing. It feels like that was maybe part of the demise, especially knowing that this person that it's speculated to be about, the cop, yeah, obviously there's a conflict of interest there. Yeah, I said, but given who this is speculated about, perhaps he didn't see it as a good thing. Her rage, her passion, perhaps a side of her that he hadn't seen yet, the fire. And then it's kind of like, but I didn't care. I screamed for them. Not for you, for them. I also said, like, the whole sonic landscape of it sounds like kind of like a film noir to me. And that works perfect for this song that seems to be kind of processing or solving this mystery. The line, I love this line. God, I wish I was with my father. He could see us in all our splendor. I feel like that's kind of like, well, my dad would have been proud of me, even if you weren't. I don't know. I get that feeling. Like, it's like, I wish my father could be here because I know that he would be with me and he would be proud of watching me do this. And then Old Man River keeps rolling without him, oh my old man. I said several significant meanings here. Obviously, the main one referencing a beautiful song from 1927 musical Showboat that's comparing the struggles and hardships of Black Americans to the Mississippi River flow, turbulent and all that. Obviously, Black Lives Matter movement in modern times. And then I also think it's interesting that it's obviously another water reference, that she uses water references all the time. So I totally understand how she would kind of pick up on that beautiful song and connect to it, at least in that way, obviously with her own personal experience. That whole idea of going with the flow, riding the waves, we keep it moving, that kind of thing. Beautiful. So that is textbook.
There's a picture on the wall of me on a John Deere. Jenny handed me.
Let's move on to Blue Banisters. Oh, how am I gonna do this? Okay, let's put Blue Banisters in amazing. I know, I'm sorry. I know it's going to be in a lot of people's God tier, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but like when I go down the list, like there are so many for me that are going to be God tier that I have to. Because my truth is, I love Blue Banisters, but there are so many other songs on this record that I love so much more. So that's my truth. I'm sorry. Okay, I wrote healing, facing your wounds, healing and letting go. I said, I love the line about the dried flowers on the dresser specifically. She asked me where they're from. I said, a place I don't remember. And I said, I presume it's about a time in her life that feels far removed from where she is now. So maybe she doesn't actually necessarily, maybe she does remember where they're from, but she's saying that like I don't even remember that place. Like I'm so far removed from where I was mentally at that place. That's what I get. And then I also put love this line. The line was, she said, most men don't want women with a legacy. It's our bane. And to that I say, here we go. I get on my soapbox, I think, a little bit. I said, and to that I say, most men do not have the secure masculine soul meant for these divine women. And those that don't can just take a walk. And then I said, I feel the same way about myself, to be honest. And this is not me saying all men, but most men, in my opinion, or in my experience, I should say. So if you are a super secure masculine man, well, I love you. I love you, and this isn't about you, okay? I promise. It's just about the friggin' million other douchebags that can't handle a woman like Lana Del Rey, who's rich and powerful and soft and beautiful and passionate and all of the things, all of the dichotomies that are involved in being with a complex woman like that. They're not, it's hard to find a man that can hold up to that. So they're out there, and call me if you are out there. Sorry. I told you I was in a weird mood. Oh God. I love the line also, you can't blacken the pages with Russian poetry and be happy. I don't know. It makes me, like, I know that she has a lot of references to kind of Russian authors and Russian poetry, so I think it probably has a lot to do with that as well. But what I gleaned from it as well was, I said, it makes me think of redactions on a document. blacken the pages, right? Redactions on a document, or also propaganda. My mind thinks of propaganda as well when I think of that line. And for that, I would say it would be like a metaphor for not presenting your true, authentic self, or making yourself small to make someone else happy. And again, by making yourself small, you're not embodying your true authentic self, and it's kind of like propaganda for someone else on who you are. I don't know, my brain was in my brain it makes sense, okay? So if it doesn't make sense, it's okay, move on, that's fine. Basically like reading my journal here. I know everyone keeps correcting me in my comments when I say I believe this is about multiple wounds and not only about her cop ex, but I need to speak my truth. So here we go. I said, wounds are created and then reinforced by the choices we make. That is why we repeat patterns in our lives. And I said, so with this, to me, it feels like we are, yes, number one, talking about the immediate ex, the cop ex-lover, but also other people in her past who she's been hurt by or has had to grieve. So the people who, you know, ultimately it always starts in childhood. So, you know, the abandonment wound starts with mother and father, and then, you know, and then you get into this relationship and they hurt you and abandon you, and then you get into the next one, and like you're picking the people who you feel comfortable picking, which are usually people who are going to abandon you. That's unfortunately how it works until you heal yourself. And so when I said that, that's what I mean. I don't mean that I don't think it's about him. Yes, it is about him, but I think it's about him and other people. One of them being the Dark Paradise. Whoever the Dark Paradise song is about, that wound is still there, and it's showing up in this more present relationship, or just like barely past relationship. That's my opinion. That's my truth, and I stand by it. I said, for example, the subject of Dark Paradise, I don't believe she is basic in that way to only talk about one thing in a song. I think we've seen it countless times where there's multiple meanings, and when she's talking about a feeling of, you know, abandonment, I think that that feeling of abandonment goes really deep, and it's not just one person that has given her that feeling of abandonment. So that's what I mean by that. I said there is a depth of feeling that goes beyond one relationship, in my opinion. So that's my truth on that. I wanted to explain myself because I'm not sure that I was being understood, and that is what I meant by that. I love the concept of paint my banisters blue. It feels like enduring suffering to be with this person. So either you're talking about the emotional blue, you know, like he said that he'll be here with me as long as he lets me, as long as he paints my banisters blue, whatever that line is, you know what I'm talking about. It just feels like that's the trade-off. You have to endure this suffering to be with this person. So we could be talking about emotional blue, sadness, or physically blue, bruise, right? That a lot of you guys also might agree with, either metaphorically or literally. And I also said, I love that line, said he'd fix my weather vane. That feels like she's referencing her kind of being emotionally dysregulated by her own words that she says in many songs in Born to Die. The idea that he can be the one to balance me out and calm my emotions. And she even, I think in the poem, there was one poem there she was talking about like that someone else like anchoring her. It's kind of that same idea, and I relate to that a lot. I've done that a lot and expected my partners in the past, although I am healing that wound. But in the past, I have expected my partners to balance me out instead of doing the work to balance myself out. Anyways, there's a beautiful line as well in the second verse about her friends helping her to understand that she's not broken, she just needs to heal, and they are there to help. And you know the line, I don't know why I didn't write. I think I got bored of writing down lyrics, but you know what I'm talking about. And then I said the line about the man in her past feels like a reference to Dark Paradise, but also the way, again, I see it both ways, because I see it the way a lot of you are seeing it, where the man in the past and the man that's right there with her could literally be that same person, that ex. So I get that concept, but I think it also is referencing that as well. I don't know. And in my darkest nights, he's shining. It just makes me think of Dark Paradise, the lyrics to Dark Paradise, at least referencing the idea of not being able to get someone out of your head. So even if we're not like directly talking about that person, I'm really just meaning this idea of Dark Paradise. Yeah, I said, so still works talking about the recent ex. He is haunting her in the same way Dark Paradise man did or does. And then the Banisters, green and gray, her sisters are coming to help her heal. She's not doing it alone. This is absolutely key. It's still painful, but I'm healing and I'm still able to find joy in life. Gorgeous song. Okay, moving on.
My body.
Arcadia started off as like a mid-level song for me. I know, that seems like such a horrible thing, but Arcadia is God tier. It's so good. It took me a bit to really connect to it. I think you guys saw it if you went through the series of videos, and the even like the series of hearing Arcadia, because in the music video one, we had the 2 music videos, and then I think we listened to like 3 live performances, so we literally listened to it 5 times in one reaction. And by the end of it, I was like, I finally connected with it, and I'm happy I did. I said, this song feels like sitting with yourself, isolated, and just learning to love and accept yourself while being in hell or chaos, because we can't take away the fact that, yeah, there's a lot of that in it as well, and frustration. Everything seems to be blowing up around us, but I'm going to carve out a little piece of heaven, is kind of how I feel. And I know she also did say somewhere, I can't remember where, to kind of think of it in the same way we think of video games. And that's kind of how I see video games as well. I think there was still a lot of sadness and depression in video games, but she was ultimately able to find this little piece of heaven, even if she was annoyed by certain things. I love the line, I'm a lost little girl finding my way to you. And I said, it feels like she's found a calm even amongst everything that the media and critics have thrown her way. She knows how to escape now, and she accepts her fate. The line, they built me up 300 feet tall just to tear me down, so I'm leaving with nothing but laughter in this town. I said, she's fine. She knows how to enjoy life without the fame. She's good to just leave with her experiences and the absurdity of it all. But of course, I think she wants to stay. But she's good. She's good if she has to. If she has to flee, whatever. She knows that she's fine either way. And I said, I love how it begins with her saying, I need a miracle. Like, so in that first verse, it says, I need a miracle. And then it ends with realizing that, no, it's not her. It's actually American culture, society, etc. that needs the miracle. And as she says near the end, she's learned to accept herself for who she is, her flaws, her imperfections, all of it. But is America ready to face the mirror, is the question that I get at the end of it. I love it. It's so good. Oh, okay. Now, for some reason, I just skipped over Interlude, because I think previously these tier rankings didn't have the Interlude for me to rank, so I just skipped over it. So I don't have notes for that. I love it. It's perfect. I like the idea that people talk about it being like a switchover point from before pandemic to into the pandemic. That's pretty interesting. I don't know if I believe that or not, but it's an interesting way to think about it. The trio is interesting. Makes me think of the number 3. There's a lot of different symbolism with trio, triad. Religious is one, obviously, but then there's like mind, body, soul. 3 is a very spiritual number in general. So I'm not entirely sure if I've, really figured out what it means, but it's perfect in the record. It gets you out of your trance, and you're like, okay, now we gotta like pay attention. And then obviously Black Bathing Suit is next. So Interlude is like, it's like, I can't, like, it's an interlude. I love it. So like, I mean, let's put it in good, because it is. It's amazing, but I wouldn't put it anywhere super special. Let's move on to Black Bathing Suit. Okay, Black Bathing Suit. Where do you want to go? Black Bathing Suit is in God. I'm sorry, I have to do it. I have to do it. I freaking love it. And the way, okay, well, let's see. Let's see what my notes are, because I don't want to repeat myself. I said, I love the start with the crows. Yes. Crows symbolize death, transformation. So it does feel like in this song, there's a processing, there's a death of an old self here. Maybe one who may be tied to her identity of what other people think. I feel like she's moving past that. So she's had all the bullshit with, the body shaming and all, like, everything, right, that the media was throwing at her at that time. And I think she reacted, as we do when we're human, but I do think it was part of a process of growth for her, and I'm not sure she gives a shit as much now in 2025. I have a feeling that she doesn't. So I think this was like a transformation period for her, and I'm here for it. I think it's a beautiful representation in the song of that. I love the line, how it starts, Grenadine, quarantine, I like you a lot. I think that's interesting. Grenadine, sweet, being sweet, right? More positive. I like you a lot. So quarantine really brought out a lot of different emotions for different people. Personally, because, I know it has to do with my autism and being happy to be alone like 80% of the time. Personally, I was able to find a lot of peace and solace in that time, but I also understand that that wasn't the case for everybody. And so I said I relate to the sense of peace and simplicity that it seemed to provide her, at least in the beginning stages. I said I love the way we then start to call out the haters, the body shamers. I love the line, I guess I'm complicated, my life sorta too. I wish you could see to my soul through this black bathing suit. Absolutely heartbreaking line. Being reduced to just a body when you're actually a soul, a human being, a real person. And I feel like a lot of people do that to celebrities. They get dehumanized a lot. They're a product, they're a trophy, they're but actually they are real people with real feelings, so I can only imagine it must be absolutely exhausting. I said I love how chaotic it gets in the second chorus sonically. I said it feels like spinning in your mind, like nervous system dysregulation, like what happens to me when my brain just starts going like in a bad way, in a negative spiral. I love the line, your interest really made stacks out of it. So it's almost like finding that empowerment in this negativity. So all the bullshit actually just makes her more famous and gives her more money, and she's able to see that. So she's kind of going, well, fuck you. Like, all this interest that you're giving me, whatever, I'm just going to turn it into gold. Fuck you. It feels like that to me, which I love. And I said, but this is depressing because it really was just about writing and singing for her, in my opinion, I mean, she has said it too. And all that extra noise just has to be so frustrating. And then I just ask the question, is the money worth it, right? I don't know if she would think it is or not. I think she probably goes back and forth. I mean, it's definitely nice, I'm sure, to have money and security in that way, but there's so much insecurity in so many other ways. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine. We'll never know. Most of us will never know. Okay, let's move on. Oh my god, I've put so many in God tier already. Okay.
Would you rather
If You Lie Down With Me, this was 100% my favorite song when I first heard it, and it is kind of still up there. What happened? Anyways, If You Lie Down With Me, I put in God tier, and I think it deserves it. I said, this song is too relatable. It's annoying. I stand by that, but I love it. I said, it feels romantic. Like there's a romanticization. That's a word, right? Yeah, it is. And then you remember that the other person should actually not need to be told all of this, and that it's actually their fucking loss. You know, it's like my girl boss comes out and I'm like, oh, this is so romantic, yes. And then I go, well, fuck though. Like, we shouldn't be telling this person they need to do all that. No, they should know without being told. Anyways, I said, but again, so relatable, because I go back and forth on these things too. I like to control these things and, you know, try to chase in relationships where I'm tired and I'm exhausted. I'm not going to do that anymore. So yeah, all that kind of shit is not going to work on me anymore, and that's fine. And if I'm a single cat lady, I guess dog lady in my case, then I'm fine with that. I just don't want to play the games anymore, you know? But anyways, I love it because it's so relatable. It's very me. It's very me in a relationship. I love the line, once, twice, 3 times the guy I ever thought I would meet. It's like the mental gymnastics that we do sometimes to kind of justify letting someone not see our worth. In my case, in the experience I was talking about in that reaction, same thing. I think I did the same kind of mental gymnastics in my mind. Like, this person was not showing up for me. And it's not because they're a bad person. That was the problem, is that I really do believe that this person is a good person with a good heart and a good soul. They just weren't ready for a relationship. They weren't ready for me. It wasn't meant to be as far as a relationship with me. So I should have just left right away, right? When I realized that. But instead, it's like, well, but he's like, I've never met someone this whatever, this good, this sweet, this kind, this, so I have to stay and like force this person to love me. And it's like, no, you don't. There's a lot of kind, gentle, beautiful male souls out there, Val. And if there isn't, then you got your dogs, you know? You don't need to stay just because it's the scarcity mindset, right? It's like, oh my God, I've been with so many jerks in my life, and then this one guy that I don't consider a jerk, but he doesn't necessarily love me or treat me the way I should be treated in that way, even though I see how kind he is in so many other ways. I mean, don't force it, Val. Don't force it. You don't need to. And anyways, it just brings up a lot of that kind of stuff for me. I said, I guarantee she is 10 times, this is me again, being a Lana pick me, that's fine. I am. I guarantee you she is 10 times the woman this person will ever be in the presence of. That is my truth, I said. But it doesn't matter because they don't know it, they don't see it, so they can go fuck off. I said, if someone doesn't love themselves, they cannot love you the way that you deserve. If you're with someone that doesn't love themselves, you're never going to be loved the way you deserve. And it's not necessarily their fault. They just need to do the work to love themselves, because it's impossible to really in my opinion, love someone the way they deserve. All-encompassing, beautiful love. If you hate yourself, it's almost impossible. Anyways, and then I say the horns are perfect. I said they're kind of Disney, cartoon, delusional, slapstick comedy almost. Humorous, beautiful, amazing. Great. Okay. Let's move on to beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Where do I want to put beautiful? I love beautiful. I love beautiful. I think that's an unpopular opinion. I never hear people say that they love the song beautiful, but I do. But I'm going to put in amazing. Oh my God. What is going on? We're fine. We're good. Beautiful, I love. It makes me cry. There's so many amazing lyrics in it too, so I have to put in amazing. I feel like that's an unpopular opinion, but I don't care. Whatever. I said I love how this starts. It sounds like glittering stars is what I said. I love the line, let's keep it simple, babe. Don't make it complicated. I said she's been saying this for so long. I just want to dance with you. See, I told you I'd at least have one other reference to that lyric because it is. She's not asking for a lot. She really isn't. And it's like she feels like she has to beg for this. And she's not even asking for a lot. It's actually quite annoying. It drives me nuts, but it makes me realize that I've kind of been like that too, where it's like you think you're asking for a lot, but when you really think about it logically, you're actually not asking for a lot. So if that person isn't able to give you that bare minimum, then I mean, see you later, right? Oh my God, the line to let me run with the wolves, let me do what I do. Again, the wolf reference, I've talked about that book. We don't need to go on a tangent again about that, but it does make me think of that Women Run with Wolves book that I've been going through myself. I'm almost done. It's beautiful. About that wild woman archetype, and it's been really helpful for me, especially being like a black sheep type woman. It's been really helpful for me to come into myself, and so I just love it. I said she's wild at heart. Don't try to change her. Violets for roses. We're not there yet, but it feels like a reference to that same idea. I also love the line, I can turn blue into something beautiful. I said, this is a skill not everyone has, and it's so beautiful that she even talks about that. I love that idea of being able to kind of transmute energy, see the bright side, the silver lining. It's a skill. I really think that it's a skill, and it's a beautiful skill to have. I said, sometimes the people who have been to the darkest places and crawled out are the ones who can find joy in the simplest things. Yeah, it feels like, in my experience of what I've seen, it always results in one of two ways. Someone who's been through intense trauma, darkness, things like that, you either come out like super strong and super with life and just enjoying life because you're just happy to be here after, surviving some pretty dark shit, or you become a raging psychopath. I love the line, don't turn me into something I'm not. There's no way to sustain it. And I said that I resonate so much with this as a high masker myself. It is exhausting and not sustainable. I have a lot of my life, I'm trying not to do it now, but a lot of my life I've had to kind of put on this mask, or you could even call it a facade, just to survive in the world. I didn't know I was doing it because I was undiagnosed, and then just kind of learning about autism and that is a very common experience, and then realizing, oh my God, I've been literally masking my true identity all my life, not consciously, but just as a way to survive. It happens when you're a kid because, something happens, you do something funny, like maybe I was stimming, flapping my hands. I know I did that as a kid, and probably someone bullied me or made fun of me. So then, then you stop doing it, and then you're just like, okay, I gotta hold my hands. And then that's what the mask like creates this protective shell. which is useful. It's very useful, and sometimes it's absolutely needed because safety is important. But then, as you know, an older adult now, wanting to find out who I really am, now I'm trying to peel back that, because there are certain instances where I don't want to have that. You know, when I'm in my own house and, you know, one day I have a partner, like I don't want to be masking, you know, in my own house with my own partner. And, you know, anyways, just something to think about. I thought it was really interesting.
There's something in the air, the girls are running around in summer dresses.
Let's move on to violets for roses. Violets for roses. Where do I want to put that? I love it. It's very good. It's not God tier for me. It just isn't. I know that might be an unpopular opinion because it's very good and the lyrics are amazing. It's just not as interesting to me, I think, sonically. So for that, it puts it down. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not interesting to me personally. So maybe I put it actually in good because, like I said, I want to make that separation. I see that it's a really good song, but it's just not as much for me as some of the other ones. But I mean, I'm gonna go on to tell you all the things I love about it because obviously I wrote a bunch of notes about why it's an amazing song. I love the lyric, the girls are running around in summer dresses with their masks off and it makes me so happy. Talking about masks, right? I said, I love that this line can be taken both literally. So obviously the pandemic, we're able to take our masks off, go outside, but also metaphorically, exactly what I was talking about in the last song, taking your mask off, your facade, being free and be authentic. Another tie-in to the previous song. They kind of go together in some ways, which is kind of cool. I love the line, ever since I fell out of love with you, I fell back in love with me. Oh, it's so beautiful. I said, I relate to this wholeheartedly, and it's such a beautiful feeling, especially this time around, this most recent breakup that I went in, that was actually a year ago. Holy crap, time goes by. Time does heal the wounds, though, I will tell you. But this most recent one, I really poured a lot of love and acceptance and work into myself after it. I needed it, but it really did help me to fall in love with myself. Really, for the first time in my life, I think I've tried to, you know, have self-love, especially over the last 5 years, but I think just this year, I've really started to actually go from self-acceptance, not just that, but to like self-love, which is a really beautiful feeling to have. So, and I love the metaphor of violets for roses. It feels like violet is a more kind of wild-ish flower. It's not that like basic bitch flower that roses are. Roses are beautiful, okay? But it's like the obvious flower, right? It's like the mainstream flower that like everyone's gonna give you on a first date or whatever. It's like the obvious one, and she's not that. She's different. She just is. We're not like other girls, right? No, that's a joke. But seriously, I think she has always felt different. Probably a lot because of maybe some, you know, trauma that she's had, as well as maybe some neurodiversity. She had said in that live stream, I didn't realize that she had ADHD. I don't know, she hasn't talked about that a lot, but if that's the case, you know, it certainly does take a toll on you and make you feel a bit different than the, you know, neurotypical person. So I can totally see that. Yeah, I said a wildflower to this perfect, common, basic bitch flower. And I said no shade to roses because they are beautiful. But she's like, that's not me though. Like, that's okay if this girl wants the roses. That's fine. But I'm the violet, not the rose. You have to understand that. Like, there's nothing wrong with the rose, but I'm not that. And you're trying to change me into that. I said, trying to change her into something that she's not. She wants a simple, beautiful life filled with love and laughter. I just want to dance with you. How fucking more obvious can I be? And then the line, God knows the only mistake that a man can make is trying to make a woman change and trade her violets for roses. I said, this just says everything, like, period. We don't need to talk about it anymore. That's the song. I said, lyrically, I love this song. Sonically, it's not as interesting as some, in my opinion. I said, still very pretty. So that's why it went in good. But I do think it's an amazing song. So don't come for me. Let's go to Dealer. Oh my god. Dealer. I have to put it in God tier. It's so good. Yeah, I feel good about that. Yeah, Dealer is going in God tier. It's so good. I said it's such a vibe to start. I actually said this may actually be my favorite vibey song on the record. It just feels good to listen to it from beginning to end. It's so interesting. It's so good. I said the Dealer feels like a metaphor for a lover who enabled her to constantly abandon herself and lose a part of herself in the relationship. I feel like the Dealer, yeah, I don't think we're talking literally here. I think it is a metaphor for a shitty relationship that she got consumed in and got nothing back from. I said she gave this person everything she had, spiritually, mentally, physically, and they gave her nothing back. And I said she's pissed about it. I said she's got the kerosene in her hands, ready to throw out that fireball. I'm gonna put some like interesting editing on that. Oh, maybe here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we do for YouTube. It's a beautiful, just raw pain that is kind of expressed in this song, and I love it. I love the line, all circuits are busy, goodbye, and he ain't been home for years. It's like someone who has just been mentally checked out during the relationship, and she's like, it's just making her go crazy. As it does, right? Okay, Thunder. Thunder is an interesting one, and I feel like I have unpopular opinion. I don't know about it, but we'll get there. Thunder, though, is top tier, 100%. Thunder is so good. Are you kidding me? We have to. This is what I'm saying. There's so many that are in God tier. I can't. I'm sorry. Okay. I said, the violins remind me of the Dexter theme song. I don't know if you guys remember that show, Dexter, about the serial killer vigilante. It's hard for me not to hear how menacing it sounds because of that. Also, right in the beginning, in the intro, especially if you have headphones, because it's actually not in the production. It's not super forward. It's hard to hear, but there's a lot of dissonant chords being used. Dissonance meaning less harmonic chords. So it puts you on edge. It gives you anxiety. It gives that feeling, that menacing feeling. I don't know how else to say. I said, yeah, major anxiety factor. The line, you roll like thunder when you come crashing in. And also, you act like fucking Mr. Brightside when you're with all your friends. But I know what you're like when the party ends. And then just do it. Don't wait. This is really unpopular opinion. And I think it's both, because as I went through the song, I felt like the second time she does it, it means a different thing, and that's fine. It feels like, especially in this first verse, it does feel like abuse to me. Either mental or physical, I don't know. We don't need to get too much into the details there, but I can't get it out of my head. It just feels like abuse. It feels like when you're anxious about what you know is coming, sometimes you just want to get over with it. But also, I think another interpretation of just do it, don't wait, Could be also, and again, I think especially in the second time she does it, it really does feel like this. Just break up with me and kind of put me out of my misery. But I said, but the clues sonically just feel like it's darker than that, especially in this first verse. And then I said, I love how the second verse kicks in. So good. The production is so good. The drums come in. Like, it's perfect. And then this is what I wrote. I was saying, I think it might be both actually, which is totally valid because I feel like she does that all the time. So it's fine. I said, near the end, it feels like she's absolutely asking him to walk away and do no harm. Honey, if you're on fire, you're on fire. Just keep burning. Keep me alive. Spare your blade. That one, keep me alive, it feels like a double meaning. Again, could be literal, like more literal, talking about abuse, but also the harm may make her feel alive, which is kind of an uncomfortable thing as well to talk about. But yeah, sometimes when you're in those more abusive relationships, yeah, sometimes that harm actually, especially if you feel numbed out in other ways in your life, it in a way it's feels comfortable in this kind of twisted way. So it just kind of feels like she's playing with that a little bit. I love it. And you know what? I hope it's not as dark and sinister as I hear it, but it just feels really dark and sinister to me. So it's hard for me to get that out of my... Okay, Wildflower, Wildfire. It's also God tier. Are you kidding me? Like, it has to be. Okay, I said, I love the line, here's the deal. It's just such a powerful line. It gives me chills every time, right at the beginning of the first verse, and then also in the second verse. It's like, you listen in. It's like, here's the deal. Okay, yeah, we want to hear it. Definitely feels like she's talking to like a lover, kind of similar to what I said in my reaction. It feels like, okay, you want to get to know me, here's the deal, I'm going to tell you everything, and you'll know why I am. But there's also this sense that it's also her explaining to us, her fans. I don't know. I get that weird feeling as well. But of course, like, the song is framed in a relationship. But yeah, sometimes it feels like she's talking to me. Like, I need to explain this to you, and I'm here and I'm listening. I said, this song gives me chills the whole time, like the whole song. I just have chills up my body. I love the line, baby, I've been running on stardust alone for so long. I wouldn't know what hot fire was. Kind of feels like she's almost numb to the fire, right? When it's all you've ever known, it's kind of normalized. So that anger and chaos and dysregulation is normalized to her. But she doesn't want to let this consume her. She will break this cycle and be a wildflower instead. She has learned that she doesn't need to bring the fire every day. The line, oh, yeah, the line of the record. My father never stepped in when his wife would rage at me, so I ended up awkward but sweet. Chills run down my spine every time I hear this line. And obviously we're talking about two different types of abandonment here. We've got the mother, which she doesn't call her mother. That's very telling as well. His wife, I mean, that tells you, obviously, I mean, we know that she has a good relationship with her dad, but that's obvious even in these lyrics. Even if we didn't know the backstory, it's like she's still calling her father, but it's his wife, right? So we know, yeah, but there's still two types of abandonment going on by both people, which is, yeah. Also, the line, comfortably numb, but with lithium came poetry. That's just another super vulnerable lyric that I super respect. Her putting that in a song, again, normalizing these things that don't get talked about in mainstream a lot, and it affects a lot of people, so it's beautiful. And this is just another way that she's still able to find that beauty in her struggles, and I love that because, yeah, She is able to turn, what is it? I turned the blue into, we already talked about it. And then just the overall message, just making a conscious choice to be better and not let the cycle of abuse continue, which is beautiful. Like I said, you can go either of two ways, and she's chosen this way, to not let it consume her and to heal, and that's beautiful. Okay, Nectar of the Gods. Where do I want to put Nectar of the Gods? I love it. It's good. It's really good. I think Nectar of the Gods is an amazing. It's not in God tier for me. It just isn't. But I think it's a fantastic song. So that's why I think I'm happy putting it in amazing. So that's what we'll keep it for now. I said, such a stunning intro. Another Cruel World reference. And I said, we've had several in the album. I didn't necessarily write them down, but I think you guys know there's like 3 or 4 other Cruel World references. One of them coming up in Cherry Blossom that, again, I didn't write down because I'm not just going to write down every single one, but yeah, a lot of Cruel World reference, which makes sense because I know a lot of these were written in the UV era. I said, it makes me think we are talking about addiction again. But I think more of this one is more of the addiction to a relationship and what that does to you. Example, we've got the line, I call you up twice, hang up the phone, call again, I want to talk. This is kind of like that anxious attachment girly song, which I relate to. And then there's also this romanticizing relationships to the point where the attachment feels like it keeps you alive. So we've got the first verse where it's a cruel world because he's not picking up the phone, and oh my God, we're spinning, we're spiraling. And then the second verse, it's a sweet world because her dream of a true love has come true in that moment. But of course, I'm sure it goes up and down as things happen. It just reminds me of the idea of kind of putting someone on a pedestal, and then, obviously they fall a lot harder when you put them up on that pedestal. Extremes of emotions, I said. And then I said, oops, I relate. Yes. And then I also said, I understand completely why this was in the writing session for UV, but didn't make it on the album. I said, it's an alternative perspective from this time that doesn't necessarily fit the narrative of UV, in my opinion. It's almost too raw and revealing. And this is not me putting Ultraviolence down, by the way, but it kind of fits as a perspective as she's older and more authentic now. Like, it fits that this is when she would want to put it out. Obviously, Ultraviolence was also very revealing and vulnerable in many different ways, but there does seem to still be this facade of like, I'm the bad bitch, which I love. It's amazing. But this one is less flattering, I think, in some ways of herself, but that's why I love it, because it's vulnerable in that way. She's like really truly looking in the mirror, doing the work, the self work. It's beautiful. And then, oh my God, this line, once I found my way, but now I am lost, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but referencing in the song Born to Die, lost, but now I'm found. I said, it feels like that idea how sometimes when you're young, you kind of think you know all the answers, but then as you gain more experience and become more wise, you kind of learn just how much you don't actually know. Makes me think of the lyric, not a Lana lyric, but it makes me think of the lyric, how can a person know everything at 18, but nothing at 22? Bonus points if you can name the artist and the song this is from. Wink, wink. I love that whole idea and like how she went from that to this. It's so real and authentic. Like I said, sometimes, especially when you're in your kind of, early 20s or mid 20s, and then you get to like 30, 35 sometimes, and you're like, oh wow, I really didn't know anything. I still don't know anything. It's just interesting. I find it interesting. I love it. Okay. Living legend. Living legend. Living legend. I love Living Legend. It's not God tier for me, unfortunately. Living Legend. It's very good. I think it's gonna be in good. Sorry. I hope that's not it probably is an unpopular opinion, and that's okay. I will stand by it. I love Living Legend. It's just not as personally resonant, I guess, with me, but I love this story, especially hearing what it's about. It's super interesting. I said this song is so beautiful, and the fact that her mentor is still alive and she's singing about this is amazing, because often, I mean, obviously that's the point, it's a living legend, but often the idea of a legend is someone who's already passed. So I just think it's super special in that way. It really does feel like it is a human-to-human connection that is completely outside of music. And I thought, maybe it's perhaps a sponsor. I'm not sure. I don't love speculating about stuff like that, but that's kind of the idea or the vibe I'm getting from it. Like, it's someone who's a mentor in her life that's not a musical mentor, which is really cool because she's more than just a musician, you know? I love the line, Jane don't know a thing about my songs, but she knows I'm a monsoon. I said she truly sees Lana's soul and sees her as a person and not a star. I love also the line, I never meant to be bad or unwell, I was just living on the edge. And then the whole sequence of her saying why, I didn't quite get it at first. This is what I'm getting now from that. It feels like the pain of disappointing someone who believes in you. So, you know, maybe falling off the wagon or like whatever it is, you've done something that has disappointed this mentor, and it's like that is an intense pain, and that's what it feels like to me. I don't know if I'm right on that, but that's how it feels. Cherry Blossom. Cherry Blossom is beautiful, and I know it's everybody's God tier. It's not a God tier for me. I know, I'm sorry. Don't hate me, but it is amazing. It is a near perfect song. Like, it's just not my God tier, but that's why I want to put it in amazing, because I do see that it's an amazing song, and I feel like it's a lot of people's God tier, and I totally understand why it would be. So to start off this one, I do just want to say, this is my note, and I'm just going to read it because I want to word it the way that I wrote it, because it's important to me. I said, I totally hear all of the comments about this potentially being about something more tragic to do with a child. I said, while I do see this as a possibility, I personally just don't feel right discussing it, especially it being a speculation, when the artist has not openly discussed it. Like, it would be different if this was something that she wanted to talk about, and then, you know, it's kind of opening this public forum in that way. I don't believe, as far as what I've known so far, that she's done that, so I just don't want to discuss it. So I'm not even going to take that under consideration, because it's just none of my business, and I don't want to talk about it publicly. It's different if we're like chatting about it not in public. We're hanging out in my living room and we want to talk about it. Sure, let's talk about it, right? But I don't feel right talking in public about it when it's just speculation at this point. But I do also want to validate anyone who may relate to this idea and has utilized this song as a healing tool in this way. I am not invalidating that experience, and I think it's beautiful for that. But again, I'm not personally not going to talk about it, because I don't feel a resonance with that personally, and I'm not the right one to do it. So, and then I said, so for me, based on my experience, I see it as either speaking to an inner child, which I think I really resonated with on the first listen, or to a future child, because I know she wants to be a mother and sees herself in that nurturing way, and so either is kind of beautiful. I said, for example, the reference to ghost, while could totally fit the narrative that we're not discussing, obviously, I also think it does fit in the way when you do inner child work. Internal family systems is a therapy that I'm doing, and you're basically speaking to your different parts. And when you're doing that, it kind of feels like you're speaking to these ghosts of yourself, these past selves. It feels like ghosts. So it still kind of makes sense in my head with inner child, but again. And then I said, either way, you're seeing her soft motherhood qualities, which ultimately still serves to heal her inner child. So either way, I feel like there is some healing there of her own inner child, even if it's not intended to be that way. I said, she is giving the love that she was never offered. The line, what you don't tell no one, you can tell me, so beautiful. I said she probably felt she didn't have that female figure to confide in, so she was left to spiral in her own head, and she's being that for someone else. I also love, you're very brave and very free. These are qualities that we've seen that she values greatly. So it's just beautiful to see it framed in this way. I also love, I push you high, cherry blossom on your sycamore tree. It feels like she's becoming that foundation for this child to blossom. The roots that she was denied, she's being the roots for this child. And it's beautiful. It's stunning. And sonically, it's so beautiful as well. All right, we are on the last one, Sweet Carolina. Where do I want to put Sweet Carolina? It's not God tier for me, and I know, again, it's such a sweet song, and I almost feel bad not putting it in God tier, because it's just so freaking sweet, but just personally, I don't resonate. I have a sister that I love dearly, but we don't have an incredibly close relationship. Like I said, I do love her dearly, but just life got in the way, and so in some ways it almost makes me sad to listen to, because it makes me regret some things. And so yeah, it is just not God tier for me. I think it's gonna be in good. I'm sorry. You guys are gonna hate me. It's so good though. It is, which is why I would never put it in okay or skip, because it's such a good song. But this is what I put. I said, so sweet that this features her dad playing the piano. I love that. I didn't know when I first listened to it, but hearing that just upped it that much more for me. And I said, it's another instance of her showing her beautiful, nurturing side, this time with her sister. I said, there isn't much to analyze. This is just a sweet, personal song for her baby sister, and it gives me chills how much love is shown. I do love, in particular, the line when she says, and we love you. I said, and I said this in the reaction, I believe, but I stand by it still. It blows my mind every time. You can literally hear her smile as she's singing it, and I think that is just fucking beautiful. So, anyways, that is it. That is our Blue Banisters tier ranking. Let's see. So in God, I had Arcadia, Black Bathing Suit, If You Lie Down With Me, Dealer, Thunder, and Wildflower, Wildfire. Interesting. I feel like that's an unpopular opinion. I want to hear you guys, what you guys think though. I don't know, for whatever reason, those are the ones that like really connected with me. And then in the amazing category of Blue Banisters, Beautiful, Nectar of the Gods, and Cherry Blossom. I still feel good about that. And then in good, I have Textbook, Interlude, Violets for Roses, Living Legend, and Sweet Carolina. You know what? No, I'm happy with that. That is my truth. That is me speaking my truth. And I stand by it. But let me know why I'm wrong in the comments. Be nice though. Be nice and respectful. Anyways, this has been so much fun. I can't wait. I cannot freaking wait for Ocean Boulevard. Also, we started doing drops on Patreon. So specifically for Ocean Boulevard, because I know it's what everybody is excited about, I am doing a drop on the weekend, next weekend, actually, from when you guys are seeing this, if you're seeing this when it first appears on YouTube, if you make it in the first day or two. Next weekend, I'm doing Ocean Boulevard drop on Patreon, okay? So if you want to be involved in that, join my Patreon. You can join for, I think it's $3.50 USD. And yeah, you could, if you want to, catch the last little bit, you can join and then cancel or something like that. I think it's going to be an amazing time. Last time we had a bunch of people who were chatting the whole time. So much fun. And then don't worry, the next weekend is when I'm going to be dropping it on YouTube, and I'll still do a premiere, so you still have a chance to chat with me and the rest of the crew for that. So no worries if you're not able to, but I just wanted to put that out there that it's been fun. And so if you've been thinking that maybe you want to join, this is the time for sure if you're a Lana fan. Anyways, have a wonderful rest of your week and day, and we will see you for Ocean Boulevard. There's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard. Is that I don't know the whole title. We're gonna learn it. We're gonna have to. Okay, bye.